talk about the stuff you've been dealing with, right? So maybe talk about like the beginning when all this started, and how has it been being, in the medical field during COVID?
Tough. That's the one word I can, tough, but at the same time, like all over the place with everything. So there's so many components to it. I can just talk about, when we were first hearing about this, we didn't know what this was. We were hearing about all the stuff that was going on in China. Obviously, I'm in academic medicine, and so all these papers were sort of not really there yet. So we were just kind of watching the news, and I come on shift, and my senior doctors would be talking about. I'm like, I don't know, I heard this, that, and the third. Do you guys think it's gonna come over here? We don't know. And I remember my first patient who, at the time we didn't have the COVID test. We didn't know if it was COVID. It was this guy who came in with like a broken ankle after he fell off his motorcycle, so we're obviously, x-raying. So what we do is we do a chest x-ray, pelvis x-ray, and obviously, we were x-raying the ankle. And I looked at his chest x-ray and I was like, sir, like, have you been coughing? Like, what's going on with your chest? He's like, no. He's like, I feel fine. So we were just like,
what was wrong with his chest?
So the chest x-ray just looked what we call like very, like kind of whited out. So usually, it's supposed to be like black. You can see the ribs. That means that there's air in there, but it looked almost like he had like pneumonia in multiple parts of his chest. And he was like, no. He's like, I feel fine. He's like, I just fell off my motorcycle, whatever. So we were like, is this it? Like, we didn't know. And then, another patient was like an Uber driver who came in with all the symptoms. This is a guy, he had a fever, he was coughing. And again, we didn't know, like, where do we put this person? Do we isolate them? Do we do this? Do we do that? So there was that sort of like, oh, these are the first cases that we're having, right? And then obviously from the administrative point of view, it's like, what do we do? Where do we put these people? Do we send them home? He looks great, but do we send him home because he might have this COVID thing? We didn't know what it was. And then, we started seeing more and more people coming in, And, at this point, China had gotten it really bad. And I think this is when we started hearing about Italy. And, I think for all of us, our anxiety just went through the roof because we were seeing how bad it was in China. We're seeing it sort of like spread across the globe. And it's like, wait, we're next. And, at this point, now we're starting to get a lot of the data. And it was like, oh my gosh, these people are coming in, their oxygen levels are super low. They look horrible. They're dying. Then it's, intubate them. Intubating is like putting a tube down someone's throat to help them breathe, and then you put them on the ventilator. And then it was like, on some shifts, we were doing that like, 10, 12 times a shift when normally we probably do that once a shift, on really sick people. But we were just seeing more and more people and more young people too. And I think that was what was really scary. My first patient that was really, really sick with it was a 35-year-old guy, perfectly healthy. The only thing he had was asthma, but he hadn't had like an asthma attack in a long time. And he's just sitting there, like his oxygen levels were like at 60%. And I'm just like, what? And then, again, then it's the anxiety of like, what's going to happen when I walk into this next shift? Then coworkers started getting sick, and then nurses started getting sick, and then people were just, dropping like flies. And it was a lot. Like I said, it's the whole professional part of it was tough, but then it's like the personal part of it, and then, you have people who are coming in and we're not letting families come in because we don't want them to get sick, or we don't, like, and all of this. And it's like, families are like, why can't we see our loved one? And then, it's just a lot. It was just a lot. And, we kind of...
My name is Calvin Nello. I'm a robotics teacher. I'm a student advocate, motivator, educator, but most importantly, I'm all about providing access and equal opportunities for my people. And I think education is that route. I teach in Detroit because it gives me opportunity to be a motivator, educator, and advocate to provide equal opportunities for young people. What motivated me to become a teacher was honestly just following my passion. I love science, I love scholars, I love kids, and I really think, me putting that together, teaching, really was that path. And so that's why I became a teacher. Educate, grow, elevate. To learn more, visit teach313.org.